everybody, Terrence Pop here with another episode of Live from the Lair. And we're going to go over some National Guard stories. Like when I went to the Michigan National Guard, I went to Company F 425, Lair Airborne Infantry. They did long range reconnaissance, which basically boils down to one-way trip. You're not coming back. You're going to be captured or you die, or you make your way back, which is very slim. At the Special Forces, before that I was a Ranger, and as a Ranger we did similar missions, but we executed them a little differently, especially in the beginning. I'd always, when I did my missions, I would write op orders, and I would build a terrain model, and then I would brief the mission on the terrain model and just go down the op order line by line. And then I would pick my lowest ranking guy, have him give the op order, and then I would pick another guy in the team to make sure they all knew what the fuck was going on and they weren't just droning out through the whole fucking thing. So when I get over to Company F, they have this new brief back format that they're using. And, I looked at it. Listen, it's the same thing. They just move stuff around, and in my opinion, they were doing that just to, for somebody to justify their job, or, God, I don't even know why, because it was stupid. So whenever I would get would do my LERS missions, they would come to my area for, the briefing, and I would just have a terrain model made, and I would give them the op order line by line, just like I did in the Ranger Battalion. And I would get use the brief rack format, and I'd be like, oh yeah, north and south, but I never fucking did it because it was stupid. All right, I'm not taking away from the LERS community. Those, that job's a bitch. But, there's nothing that they can add or take away from to make it any better than just a standard op order briefing. It works. It's historically worked since they started using that shit, basically, World War One-ish, I guess. My God. So, that's neither here nor there, but, there was a lot of interesting, conversations I got, from, my company commander and my platoon leader about not using the brief back format. My platoon sergeant didn't give two shits, Sergeant Coyle. He just wanted results. So you go in, you execute a mission, you make your fucking comms, you don't get compromised, you make your hard time, you get on the chopper, make it back, and that's all he cared about. And that's in reality, that's what your leadership should really care about, results. And I had a hard time with some of the dog and pony shit that they would do, because once you've been in the Special Forces for a while, they don't really do that. Okay, they tell you, hey, commander's coming by, wants to inspect this and this. You're like, okay, you get it ready, you put it out. Nobody stands at attention. There's not all kinds of crazy ass shit. They come, they look at it, yay, nay, fix this, whatever, and they leave because they care about results. Now, we had gotten, it was one of those admin drills. We're in Pontiac at the time, in Pontiac, Michigan, at the old armory. And they had said, hey, we're going to have general, the tag of the Michigan National Guard wants to come, and we're going to do an inspection. Everyone needs to be ready to go. And I'm like, okay, so they tell us what we want, what they want us to do. And we basically had our team gear. We had it broken by teams on 2 or 3 ponchos. Then we're all standing in formation, ready to go at 0830. Because he was supposed to be there at 09. Okay, now this is not my first rodeo. Generals never make time hacks. I have never, ever had any general that was supposed to show up do it on time. I remember standing, at attention, right shoulder arms with bayonets fixed for 90 fucking minutes, waiting for a general to show up. I think the only time generals show up on time is when you're putting them in the dirt in Arlington. If there's any generals that listen to this, I'm just saying you might want to be more punctual, because it kind of pisses off the guys underneath you. So we're standing around there. We're standing at rest, of course. You know, we're not at fucking parade rest or attention, but still standing in formation for a half an hour. You know, and I look at my watch. You know, and I wait like another 10 minutes. It's like 10 after 9. He's fucking 40 minutes late. So I'm like, hey, I'm gonna get some bagels. And I just walk out. Like, fuck it. I drive down, get a big bag of bagels, a couple tubs of cream cheese, and I walk in, and everyone's standing at attention, and I like walk through the drill floor. I'm like, and everyone like turns and looks at me, and I'm like, ooh. I do an about face, and I walk out. So not only did the general not even show up that day, an 06 that worked in his staff showed up to do the inspection. So we went through all of that horse shit for an 06. You know, the 06 came up. I don't even remember who his name. I don't remember what he fucking looked like, because I was watching the whole thing back from around the corner. Gave the usual speech, you know, blah, blah, blah. Everyone got put at ease, and everyone fell back in on their equipment. And I walked back there and handed out bagels to everyone in my team, and I had some left over. I gave them to some other guys, and the other teams in my platoon, and we're eating fucking bagels and cream cheese. You know, literally, I'm like, you know, it's our radio. Of course, radio's obsolete. And I had a mouthful of food. Because, listen, the general didn't give a fuck to show up. I'm not really going to jump through big hoops or play the fucking game to one of his staff. Okay. Now, granted, you know, he was an officer, but he was still just a staff officer. Okay, so now for you, most of you out there who don't know this, when you become an officer, you start off as a second lieutenant. You will probably get a platoon or a section to lead. Then you become a first lieutenant, and you may or may not get another platoon or section to be the commander of. Okay, and then you go work at a local staff for a year and a half, 2 years, until you get promoted to captain, which, you know, could take 3 or 4 if you get picked up on your second look. And then more than likely, if you don't get passed over, you're going to get a company command. And that'll last, you know, 18 months to 24 months. Same thing with, you know, a second lieutenant and a first lieutenant. And then after that, after you get done with your command time, you will go to staff, and you will spend basically 16 years working in company, battalion, and brigade staffs. Okay, where you get coffee, donuts, you put together PowerPoints, maybe you get put in charge of certain projects. You're just a overpaid bitch. All right, I'm just gonna say it. Most of the staff out there, they just do low-level bullshit. All right, they're not leading anybody. You know, they just are staff, and very few who get picked up for lieutenant colonel will pick up a battalion. 85% of your mediocre officers out there will retire as lieutenant colonel. All right, that's just the way it works. So in your entire 22-year career, you will stand in front of troops maybe 3 years in the beginning and a year and a half to 2 years as a captain. So that's 5 years out of 20. That's over 75% of your military career you're working on staff. That sucks. That was one of the main reasons when I got my 4-year degree in 1996. I said, fuck that. I'm not putting in a packet to become an officer, because I'm not going to fucking work on some douchebag's fucking staff. Just not going to do it. You know, granted, I know I was shooting myself in the foot for, you know, more money when I retired, but the politics they play, the fucking dick sucking, the butt kissing, I just fucking can't do it. I've never been able to do that. So I said, fuck it, I'm just going to stay enlisted. So, I mean, I came in the Army, worked my way up to E4, took me about 18 months, 20 months-ish. I was offered my E5 the first time in 9th Infantry Division, and I basically said, no, I want to become an Airborne Ranger. If I become an E5, a sergeant, I'm going to have to rot here in this fucking Legland stank fest for another 2 fucking years, not fucking doing it. and I already told the story about, getting over the Rangers and shit. So when I picked up my E5 in the Ranger Battalion, actually, when I showed up as an E4, I was the squad leader for a little while, until my squad leader and the 2 E5s came back from teaching at West Point. And then I picked up my E5, and literally, I picked up my E5 roughly 3 years in the service. Out of 33 years, I've been leading troops ever since. I led them in combat, I led them in other operations, in virtually every environment that this globe has to fucking offer. I've led, shitbag troops, fucking great troops, fucking smart asses, dumb asses, all of them. Okay. And the best fucking time that I ever fucking had as a fucking NCO was when I was a platoon sergeant. Because I was a platoon sergeant for 3 different platoons. Okay. And, when I came to the 425, I was a team leader for, I think, 2 or 3 years, maybe more. And then I got, basically they pulled me aside and they said, hey, Pop, you're an airborne ranger, you're special forces qualified, you got a CIB, we're looking at you to be platoon sergeant. So they put me in charge of selection and training, S&T platoon. And they said, look, you're going to stay here for a year and a half, depending on how you do. If you do okay, we're gonna move you up to a platoon sergeant, because Sergeant Coyle was going to retire. So he approached me and said, hey, you're going to run first platoon. They'd be crazy not to take you. So your S&T, you're going to put the best people you have in the first platoon. You got a year and a half to just pump everyone, all the good high-speed guys in the first platoon. Then you're going to step right in, be the fucking platoon sergeant. And I was like, yeah. So, I ran S&T, and I put all the airborne guys, all the strong PT guys, everyone in first platoon. It did take place that I got put in front of first platoon, and I was there for 2 months because we got a new company commander. Yay, exciting. Now, what I didn't know is we had another platoon sergeant who was doing not a good job. He had basically shriveled his platoon down from 27 guys to 3. So he got, I didn't know this was going to happen. We're in formation, and all of a sudden the new commander comes up, salutes, and basically says, fucking, you're gone. Pop, you're moving over to that fucking platoon. I got moved over to 3rd platoon. 3 fucking guys. I'm like, motherfucker. And this other guy, I'm not going to say his name, he was a 1st lieutenant, going to be a captain, then he came back down to E7. They're like, you can take 1st platoon. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, God damn it. Literally, I was like, I had 7 teams fully stocked, ready to go. Literally, I had 6 guys double slotted, and I got pulled off that platoon and put in a platoon with 3 fucking guys. So I turn around, I'm fucking furious. 4 of the NCOs, they were NCOs now, and 2 other guys that were E4s. I said, you, and you fall into 3rd fucking platoon. Fuck you, kiss my ass, I'm taking your guys. So basically, I just took a whole team. I didn't clear it with anybody. Literally right there in formation, when I turned around, I was furious. I'm like, yeah, go! And the company commander didn't say shit. So I came in, boom. I had 9 guys. 9 guys. I'm supposed to have, basically a minimum of 2 times that many guys. Ideally you want to have 27. So I'm fucking furious. I'm like, oh. Now, looking back on it, the reason I was pulled from 1st platoon and put in 3rd platoon is because of a weird ability I have to rehabilitate soldiers. Okay, I have never been that guy to say, fuck you, you're done, get the fuck. For me to get to that level with you, you literally have to screw the pooch, turn it around, fuck it in its mouth, and insult my mother and, not that it's a big thing, but, I mean, literally, you have to work at it to get me to that level, and I normally don't do it. I had disciplinary problems with the 3 guys that were there, and then there were like 1 or 2 guys came back, and, they just, I told them, I said, listen, I don't care if you guys go out drinking at night on Saturday, but on Sunday you need to be in formation. They missed Sunday formation. Next month they show up, they did the same thing. So, about 2 in the afternoon, one of the 2 guys comes back, and I go out to my car, I get my boxing gloves, my headgear, and groin protectors. I get all the dudes in the platoon, throw the gloves down like you and me were fucking going. These are airborne paratroopers. Giving them Article 15s and doing stupid, they don't respect you for that. They only respect violence. And also, back then, I was, just at the tail end of a professional fighting career. So he puts the gloves on, and he's like, golden gloves in the 82nd. I'm like, oh, good. And I wore his shit out. It took me like 45 fucking seconds. I knocked him down. He stood up. I knocked him down again. He got up. He was all wobbly, and I said, you're done. So he gets on the phone. He calls the other, skadoosh and says, hey, don't come in. Pop will beat the fuck out of you. Tells him the whole fucking story. So that guy doesn't come back. But the word gets out. Some other guys who had got out, who basically ETS'd, got the fuck out of the unit because they hated their platoon sergeant that fucking much, came back. So I got stragglers, like 2 or 3 here and there. And then what I would do is, if a guy was getting thrown out of the unit, say 1st platoon didn't want him and 2nd platoon didn't want him, which really wasn't that difficult because 2nd platoon was very, very picky, and it was really hard to get along in their culture that they had going on. I would go up to HQ, and I would pull the guy's jacket, and look at his PT scores, and I would go back a couple years, and I would look, like, oh, yeah, this dude's fucking airborne, air assault, 270 PT, fucking, expert fucking, qualification. I'd be like, all right, he's obviously having a bad time of it. Boom. I'd sit him down and say, hey, before you decide to walk out those doors, why don't you come hang out in 3rd platoon for a while, see how it works out for you. And by the time 3rd platoon went to Iraq, okay, I had built them basically all out of retreads and misfits. Okay, and like, I literally got promoted out of 3rd platoon to operations when I got promoted to E8. So I was basically 1 year as an ops sergeant when we went to Iraq, and 3rd platoon was still, in their minds and hearts, was still my fucking platoon. And when we got to Iraq, 3rd platoon was doing wall guard or tower guard. They were doing Haji escorts within the prison, and they were doing convoy security between the prison and Victory, which was Baghdad International Airport, up and down the main hardball, which was called Ambush Alley at the time, or RPG Alley, one of the two. They were basically getting 18 to, they're on duty from 18 to 20 hours a day, getting by with 4 to 6 hours off shift, and they did that for almost 3 months. It's amazing. I'm proud of those guys. They fucking rocked. And not only did they do that, but later on when they went to go do, they actually did their 6-man missions at night, looking for Haji in the dark. All of them pretty much had a $30,000 bounty on their head, and they racked up a huge amount of captured and destroyed equipment and body counts. I mean, those are some knuckle-dragging, fighting motherfuckers. I'd go to war with them again in a fucking heartbeat. I'd go to war with everyone in the 425 again in a heartbeat, minus a few individuals. But I will get to those stories down the road. So anyway, we're at 20 minutes. I've been flapping my gums for a long time. Hopefully you guys out there in the service who hear this, can glean some wisdom from this to help unfuck your lives in the service and better your careers. Take it easy, gentlemen.